Welcome back to another review. I hope you're enjoying these. Before I start a review on the artist that I'm going to do, I was just listening to who I feel is the greatest Canadian artist of all time. And for me, that's Gordon Lightfoot. Um, Lightfoot's music is incredible Canadiana. He talked about our country in a way that has always made me feel proud to be Canadian. Um, and he inspired and influenced so many songwriters. When Bob Dylan gets songs written for him by Gordon Lightfoot, I mean, it doesn't get any bigger than that. He's elderly now. He doesn't tour anymore, but I will review his music when I get to the L's. So we're quite a ways away, but Gordon Lightfoot, man, he's the bomb. Okay, so the artist I'm going to talk about today is the opposite. He's true Americana. He's a champion of the Midwest small towns. He wrote a lot of his music about that. And his music is enjoyable. It's fun. It reminds me of being a teenager. Yeah, I can't say enough about him. I think he's a fantastic artist. John Cougar Mellencamp. Now, first thing I'm going to say is some of you may or may not know why his name changed so much. Well, when he first came on scene and was signed to a record contract, the management company didn't think that John Mellencamp would sell well. Like the name Mellencamp, it was clunky and it was weird. So they wanted something cool. So they called him Johnny Cougar, which to me sounds odd, but his first album was called Johnny Cougar, and it was an album of cover songs. And to be honest, the first few albums by John Cougar were not great. He wasn't hitting the stride of harmonies and musicality and catchy guitar hooks like he did later in his career. And it wasn't until the album John Cougar came out, and I think this was 79. This had one great song on it, and I've always loved it. It's called "I Need a Lover." It's this long, expanded kind of, song, and it's really fun. It's a great song, and I think it was a hit in Australia, and then it got added to this record. That's really only the good song on here. But then, and I think it was 1980, 81, so it says 82, he came out with American Fool. And this was kind of a breakthrough album for him because you got Hurt So Good, Jack and Diane on this album. This LP was a breakthrough. I mean, who doesn't love those two songs, Hurt So Good and Jack and Diane? Talking about, young heartache and, relationships and things like that. He had a really cool way about his singing style, and he had good hooks on the guitar. And he was kind of a cross between, Bruce Springsteen, for his Americana small town singing, and more of a traditional rock band, like, the Stones or something like that. He had a swagger. And then it was on 1983's Aha that he really hit a stride. Crumbling Down, Pink Houses, Authority Song. This album had more hits as well, and he could do no wrong. Now, by this album, Mellencamp felt that he was big enough now that he could change to John Cougar Mellencamp. And so we have American Fool and Aha as John Cougar Mellencamp. But then he never really dug the name Cougar. It's what he was known as, so he dumped it. And rightly so, I mean, what's in a name? Who cares? If your art's good, what does it matter? I mean, the Beatles. Who really would call themselves the Beatles? What kind of name is that for a band? But hey, look what they did, right? So he did come out. The next album I have, there's an album that came out before this one called Scarecrow. And it took on a more political context, talking about the farmers' plight, the droughts in the United States. He with that album, he raised attention to it, Rain on the Scarecrow, Blood on the Plow. It's a great song. And it's a great album, really good album. One of his better ones. As well as this one too, The Lonesome Jubilee. This is a great song as well too, or a great album as well. So there's some really great tracks on here. Cherry Bomb's one of them, but it's actually a pretty good album. Now, I would say that Mellencamp had a consistently great album all the way through. These songs I've mentioned are the highlights, but you know, he's a great artist. And so now he's John Mellencamp. He's dumped the Cougar, whatever. And a bit of trivia for you too. John Cougar Mellencamp is an accomplished painter. He sells his work, and it's actually pretty cool. He was talking to Bob Dylan one day, who said, you know, you should really sell your stuff, you know, make it a business. And he does. So he still tours, he still records, so far as I know. But the painting thing was quite interesting. I've been told by a friend that Mellencamp live is good but not great because he doesn't improvise a lot. You kind of get what you hear on the album, which, you know, I mean, if you're in the moment and he's playing for you, who cares? I mean, it's going to be a great concert because they're great songs, but he didn't like the lack of spontaneity and improvisation. So, but you know, John Cougar, what can I say? Fantastic music, really speaks to the heartland of the United States. When I was a kid, I toured the States with my parents a lot, and it was a fun country. Back in the 80s, I wanted to move down there. I loved it. I loved the beaches, I loved the mountains, I loved the history. The people were fantastic. It's a different story now. The States is very different. I'm not sure I'd go down there anytime soon, especially with the pandemic. But you know, when I was down there, you know, I felt like listening to a little Cougar because you know, it was a fun country, and his music kind of resonated, you know, with me in that way about Americana. So I really like him. I still seek out some of his stuff. So and if you get a chance, I know that you know all the hits off the radio, but off John Cougar, if you check out I Need a Lover, great track. All right, guys, thanks for watching. See you next time.